Hi there, welcome to Kneppyinvest. Time to give a bit of an update to Pointerra and look at their June quarter Appendix 4C and a bit of an update to the annual contract value. Now, for full disclosure purposes, I am a shareholder of this company. I've been a shareholder for quite a while, and I'm still really bullish about the future of this company. And this company is still growing, and that's the main thing. And I think there is that potential that within a year, we're going to see this company being continually operating cash flow positive, even free cash flow positive and profitable. There probably would be some shareholders who found this particular quarter to be underwhelming, possibly even disappointing. And I can understand that because as we look at this Appendix 4C, the cash receipts were a little bit lower than what we might have expected. But typically, for Pointerra, when you have an underwhelming quarter in terms of cash receipts, the next quarter or even subsequent quarters can be really good. And I do expect a significant increase in cash receipts in the September quarter and following even into the December quarter. And to be honest with you, I expect average quarterly cash receipts in financial year 23 to be about $4 million per quarter, which is significantly higher than what we saw in the June quarter. So what exactly does Pointerra do? They are a very large 3D dataset solutions company. So if you or your company that you work for has a very large 3D dataset, potentially Pointerra could help you out through their Pointerra 3D Core, which provides a common data environment where organizations can visualize different data types in a unified way and then store, manage, and share them in a highly efficient and flexible way. So the sort of companies that Pointerra does help include those companies within the surveying mapping industry or sector, utilities, transport, mining, oil and gas, and defense and intelligence. Now, just a few facts in regards to Pointerra. Company itself was founded in 2015 and listed on the ASX in July 2016. This was another one of those backdoor listings via Soil Sub Technologies. Don't know if you remember, but I definitely remember back between about 2013, 2017, a lot of backdoor listings because at that point in time, there were a lot of failed small cap mining companies on the ASX who became shells. And this was after the mining boom back about 5 or 6 years previous to this. And usually when there is a mining boom, you're going to see a lot of mining companies IPO onto the ASX. And we actually are seeing that right now, particularly lithium players. So that is a sign that there's getting a bit frothy within the lithium space. Anyway, current CEO is Ian Olsen. He holds a 7.7% stake in the company. And Pointerra became really famous about 2 years ago when Bevan Slattery took a stake in this company, and he currently owns 7.4% of Pointerra. The current market cap of the company is at 23.5 cents. Current share price is about 22 cents. So keep in mind that the share price of Pointerra has been fluctuating, but the share price has been consolidating over the past month. In fact, the last time I did a video on Pointerra, the share price was 23.5 cents. So literally the share price has gone sideways over the past 3 months, but that gives a market cap of Pointerra of 158 million. And the TIG code is one of the best TIG codes on the ASX, in my opinion, 3DP. Now onto the Appendix 4Cs for Pointerra. And before we have a look at the June quarter results for financial year 22, just want to go back 1 year ago, have a look at the June quarter results for financial year 21. I am focusing on the increase in cash receipts over the past year, also focusing on the operating cash flow, and also looking at whether the spending in the company has increased at a greater rate than the receipts. So I'm looking at whether the company is finding a bit of scale. So let's have a look at the June quarter results in financial year 21. Receipts to customers, almost 1.5 million. And Pointerra was operating cash flow positive in this particular quarter by a small amount, but still positive, 98,000. And at this point in time, they were not spending a lot of money in financing and investing activities. So that operating cash flow all went to the bottom line. That's why the cash on hand actually increased by $100,000 and finished at 5.2 million at the end of this particular quarter. And the last thing to point out is ACV, annual contract value, stood at $9.8 million on the 29th of July 2021. And so I want to see how that has increased over the past year. Now let's have a look at the June quarter results for financial year 22, and it'll become fairly obvious why I think there might be some shareholders out there who found this particular quarter underwhelming or even disappointing based off the cash receipts. So cash receipts only grew by $200,000 up to 1.7 million, but significant increases in spending meant this company was not operating cash flow positive. In fact, they were operating cash flow negative by 1.4 million. So research and development up 120,000, product manufacturing costs and operating costs up 150,000, staff costs up 500,000, and administration costs up 700,000. And because, again, just like last year, not spending a lot of money in investing in financing activities, the operating cash flow negativeness fell to the bottom line. So the cash on hand actually decreased by 1.3 to 1.4 million, and the cash on hand at the end of this particular quarter was 3.6 million. The other thing to look at here is over the whole financial year of 22, the company was operating cash flow negative by 1.5 million. So this was a disappointing quarter in terms of lack of cash receipts. Also, the fact that they were operating cash flow negative by a larger amount than what we've seen for this company over the past few years. Now on to the ACV update from the company, and this is something they always include alongside the Appendix 4C. And I do like to focus on the ACV, how that is climbing through time. And if you just focus on the cash receipts, I think you're going to be, and particularly because of the lumpiness in cash receipts, you are going to be possibly disappointed at times or underwhelmed at times. And I'll show you the cash receipts history in the next slide. So this is a situation where it's very important to look at the full picture, not just focus on one quarterly cash receipts. And that will become clear again when we look at the cash receipts history. And typically for Pointerra, ACV or annual contract value has been climbing at a consistent rate, probably about an average of $2 million per quarter. Now, you could argue we'll probably like to see a bit of an acceleration in the increase of ACV, but that's being a little bit nitpicking. Now, the other thing to factor here is if you take the ACV right now, which is at 18.2 million, you just can't divide that by 4 and expect that to be the cash receipts for financial year 23. If we go back 1 year ago, the ACV was 9.8 million. So if you divide that by 4, we get cash receipts of 2.5 million per quarter for financial year 22. Now, we only beat 2.5 million, I think, in 1 quarter, but that can be sort of the upper limit of our estimations of cash receipts in financial year 23. So if we divide 18.2 by 4, we get 4.5. So that could be the upper limit of our cash receipts in one particular quarter in financial year 23. And I fully expect a few quarters or possibly 1 quarter to be approaching $5 million in financial year 23, but there will be still a little bit of lumpiness there. And the very fact that we saw a decrease in cash receipts in the June quarter for financial year 22, down to 1.6 million, lower from the previous quarters, I fully expect a significant increase in cash receipts in either the September quarter or the December quarter, or possibly even both quarters. So I am hopeful that we will see that significant increase in cash receipts, and the company won't significantly increase their spending, and the company will be significantly operating cash flow positive for either both quarters or one of those quarters. And this is the cash receipts history for Pointerra. And again, very important just not to focus on just 1 quarter or even 2 quarters in isolation. You have to look at the full picture here. And when you take the full picture of cash receipts over history, the trend is definitely up, just like ACV. And the reason I like to look at the ACV is it smooths out this lumpiness. Now, again, you just can't divide the ACV by 4 and expect that to be the cash receipts. I think that cash receipts will be lagging ACV by a little bit, but there will be a significant climb in cash receipts over the next year compared to what we saw in the June quarter. And we have seen cash receipts decrease 2 quarters in a row, which actually has never happened. Or maybe back in 2019, we did see cash receipts decrease 3 quarters in a row, but then cash receipts started to climb. And we also saw this in the September quarter last year. Cash receipts fell from 1.5 million to less than 1 million. Then all of a sudden, the next quarter, they increased by almost $2 million in 1 quarter. So I fully expect lumpiness to continue, management have stated that eventually they'd like to see this lumpiness sort of smooth out, which we should expect as a company gets bigger. But at this point in time, just don't overreact whenever you see a significant decrease in cash receipts in one particular quarter, because more than likely in the next quarter or the quarter after that, you're going to see an absolute explosion in cash receipts, like we saw in the December quarter 2021. Now onto the charts for Pointerra. Just looking at one chart here, and this is the daily chart going back about a year or just over 1 year. In fact, this goes back to June 2021. Now the share price was in a nice little downtrend from that point in time. There was a little bit of a attempted rally back in August of last year. We saw the share price rise to about a high of 55 cents, but that rally failed. And then the share price moved back into a downtrend. But since about April of this year, the share price has been going sideways, has been trading in a range. That range has been between about 17.5 cents and 29 cents. The other thing to take into account is over the past 2 months, the share price has been going sideways. You can see that with the 4 moving averages I have included here, which range between about the 20-day moving average and the 60-day moving average. And whenever you see the 4 moving averages moving together, that is showing us that the bulls aren't winning, the bears aren't winning, share price is consolidating, and that is really healthy moving forward. The other reason that's very healthy moving forward is because day traders, the short-term traders, are out of the picture right now with Pointerra. They love volatility. Day traders absolutely love the volatility. They love to see the share price rise 20% in one day, and that's when they'll step on board. And that actually is unhealthy for the share price of a company. We are seeing that right now with a lot of companies on the ASX. We are seeing share prices of companies rise 20, 25% in one day and then fall back 15, 20% in the next day. And the reason that's happening is because of day traders. So what we want to see here is Pointerra share price just consolidate. And then what we want to wait for is a sign, a catalyst for breakout in the share price to the upside, breaking through this trading range. At this point in time, I don't know if the share price is going to break up to the upside, or if there is some bad news, the share price could break down to the downside below 17.5 cents. We don't know right now what's going to happen. If I had to bet, I'm not really a betting man. I'd probably say there's going to be some good news. Potentially, it's going to be the September quarter results. Maybe the company will be highly operating cash flow positive in that quarter, and that could be the catalyst for a new uptrend in Pointerra share price and a return to some really positive sentiment about the future of this company. There's one thing I really didn't mention in this video, and that's regards to some commentary within the June quarter Appendix 4C. I'll just quote this word for word from the commentary. Pointerra 3D continues to become a must-have platform for the US energy utility sector, with existing customers advocating adoption of the company's digital twin solution amongst peer utilities, which is expected to drive further growth in platform development or deployment and ACV across Pointerra's largest sector. This customer advocacy will result in lower cost of customer acquisition and subsequently higher profitability per sale, and was experienced during a bit of a grammar error in the commentary there, and then was experienced during Q4 financial year 22, following the announcement of Pointerra's storm response solution for FPL. That's probably one of the most exciting parts of the commentary within this Appendix 4C is this customer advocacy. So the product that Pointerra has is beneficial for this one energy company, and their competitors are seeing this beneficial or benefits that they have for this one energy company, and they want a part of it. And this also is important because as storms increase in ferocity, in intensity over the next 5 to 10 years, Pointerra will have a piece of this fairly important energies market. So that's a very exciting bit of commentary there from Pointerra in their Appendix 4C. If you have any questions about Pointerra, if you think I'm completely wrong about buying bullishness in regards to this company, I'd love to hear your downside, your bearishness. I always like to hear the counterpoints to my arguments, to my thoughts, because that's how we learn as investors. So if you do have a fairly bearish case against Pointerra, I'd love to hear it from you. So leave it in the commentary or the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who's qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.